Okay, so if we can start by understanding a little bit about how you got into the IT industry. I don't know if it was something that, from sort of primary school, you thought, yeah, I want to get into the IT industry, or if it's something more recent, just how you arrived into the industry.
Yeah, I think growing up as a child, I didn't the IT industry wasn't on my radar. I always thought that I wanted to travel the world. I wasn't sure the career path that I would be taken on, but certainly when I was at school, I was particularly strong in sciences and things like that. So in my head, I'd started to go down the path of going down a career in science, microbiology, or something like that. So, when I actually ended up in the IT industry years later, and that ended up being my career path, I found out that and realized that there was other people, comrades, peers that had come from lots of different backgrounds, mechanical engineering, marketing, and ended up in the IT industry. And similar to me, hadn't really had the intention of ending up in IT. So I think times have changed now, but I think certainly when I was younger and growing up, that it wasn't such a well-known industry.
And in terms of how you did end up, then the practicalities, what were the steps? Say school, university, what, or say some people have sort of almost arrived by accident, and others at some stage said, yeah, I want to. So just the steps how you ended up where you are at the moment.
Yeah. So it was, like I say, not necessarily by design, and certainly I'd pursued my career at the beginning in university. I'd gone into sciences and biology, as that's where I'd been strongest at school, and in fact left university, and my first role was in a company called Griffith Microscience, and I was working in the laboratory and running a special project for them. And their business was sterilizing devices and medical equipment to be used in hospitals. And my project was related to testing how they could go through that process faster and make that more efficient. But at the same time, when I wasn't running the project, I was working in the microbiology lab and testing samples to make sure the equipment had been sterilized appropriately. And I found that during this time, although I enjoyed the experience and I wouldn't change it, the mundane routine style of work was not something that got me really excited, and I couldn't foresee my career being in that type of environment in a laboratory, in the microbiology laboratory. So when the project ended, I decided I would leave that role and I would try and find something else, and started to just really investigate what was out there in the market. And I found a role, and they were advertising for QA and documentation person at a software company. And I hadn't really thought of working in a software company, but I pursued this role. It sounded really interesting. And as well as being good at science, I was also good at writing when I was at school. So I thought, I could leverage my writing skills here. And when got involved in interviewing for that role, and just really wanted the job, so I just put all my effort into securing that role, and went on some accounting training courses as well, because they were in the accounting software industry, and I got that job. And so that was the start of my career in the IT industry. That's how I ended up there.
Okay, and in terms of where you've got to today, because I think, am I right, you're still in the financial sector, so that's maybe a thing, but how many steps have there been to until your current post, and what is it indeed you do at the moment?
Yeah, okay. Good question. So I've done lots of different roles since I started the career in the IT industry. So first of all, I got the job for QA and documentation, but I actually started off in a support analyst role to give me a good grounding in customer requirements, helping customers, and understanding about the software. And from there, I went into the engineering organization, doing the QA role, helping set up test scripts, helping write documentation, release notes, help systems, things like that, training materials then as well. And from there, I went into a role still at the same company as an implementation consultant. And then I moved over into a pre-sales role, which I really, really enjoyed, and probably spent the tenure that I was with Science Systems, I probably spent the longest time there in pre-sales, and really sort of felt like I found my niche. But I still broadened out my experience into account management. I started doing some software design for custom software. And the premise of this organization, I should say as well, is they were a software company, and there were sort of two angles to the software. We built bespoke software for companies just based on their specific requirements to solve particular business problems. And we also delivered packaged software like a purchasing solution, a retail management solution. And all of the solutions that we built were all built around a financial management engine called Coda. So all of the different roles that I did I was implementing bespoke software as well as packaged software. So doing the pre-sales role and then the account management and software design, that kind of took us up to the year 2000. And it was in the year 2000 where this company called Science Systems acquired a software company called Coda, Coda being the financial management package that we'd been building our applications around. So at that point in the year 2000, we were going from a division of SciSys, so Science Systems Commercial acquired Coda. We were about 70 people at the time. And when I joined, we were about 30. So we'd gone from 30 to 70. When we acquired Coda, we went from 70 to 500, which was a huge jump in terms of the size of organization. And Coda had been through a turbulent time back then and been acquired by Barn in 1996. So, and during that four-year time period, whilst Coda was a part of Barn had gotten into some serious financial difficulties. There were challenges with the Coda product. Their brand had become lost in the ether. The customers were disillusioned. So when we acquired Coda, there was a real opportunity for us to turn the company around and get it back to greatness that it had seen prior to 1996. So we went through the acquisition of Coda, and I think that at that point, as we were going to a much larger organization, a lot of the leadership at the Science Systems company at the time went into leadership positions at Coda. So my role then changed, and I was running product management for Coda. So that was a new role for me. It was a global role, and it was a new team that we were introducing within the Coda business to help us manage the product and the roadmap going forwards. So that was a really exciting opportunity. It was the first time I'd managed a team of people, and the first time I'd really had a global role. So that was in the year 2000. And then over the course of the next few years, we spent a lot of time rebuilding the customer base. We also introduced some new product lines at the Coda organization, and we started to build out a cloud solution. So one of the philosophies of Coda was that they rebuilt their financial management solution on whatever was the latest platform. So they started off on HP 3000, rebuilt on Digital Fax, AS400, Open Client Server. When we acquired in 2000, we were building out a browser architected version. And then in the year 2000, software as a service and cloud software became a thing. So Salesforce were founded in 2000, Twitter and Facebook around a similar time. So Coda as an organization was looking for what was going to be the next platform, and what cloud platform could we use to rebuild the Coda financial solution. We actually chose Salesforce. So we introduced a new product called Coda to Go, built on the Salesforce platform, and toured with Mark Benioff at the time to launch our new product and to do to ERP what Salesforce did to CRM. And so that was a really pivotal moment at that point. That was 2007. In 2008, we sold Coda to Unit 4. And then in 2009, we spun out FinancialForce as a separate entity. Investment from both Unit 4 and Salesforce to start that. Sort of the vehicle was a bit like a joint venture. So at that point, we went from 500 or 600 people at Coda. We sold to Unit 4. They were 2,000 or 3,000 employees. And then we spun out FinancialForce, and we're 27 employees in the founding team. And so I, you wear lots of different hats when you're in a startup. So I was running product, also running support. I started the customer success discipline for FinancialForce, and wanted to make sure customer centricity was a part of our DNA as we started the company, and modeled the customer success business very much on Salesforce, who were really the gold standard in terms of what customer success should look like. And it's such a crucial role in a software as a service business. So and also doing things like finance and HR. And then as we grew over the next few years, and we took on new leaders and people to run these different areas, up until 2014, and there was a point there where Advent acquired Unit 4 and delisted Unit 4 and invested in FinancialForce as part of that acquisition of Unit 4. And so we were able to actually put quite a lot more investment into the product organization and the business as a whole to help us on our growth trajectory. And this was a pretty exciting moment sort of career-wise for me. So we doubled the size of the executive team, and I handed over the customer success and support discipline to a leader who looked after everything post-sales. And I dedicated and focused myself on just product management and engineering. And in 2014, we were about 70 people in the product organization. And through this huge growth trajectory, as we exited 2015, we were about 200 people in engineering, and we'd specifically focused on the growth of the product organization to develop and expand the roadmap as fast as we could go, so that we could position ourselves way more strongly competitively in the mid-market space where we were operating as we went into 2016. So that was a really exciting time in my career to have that opportunity to go through that kind of growth and expansion. And then so that was through, then 2017, I had another opportunity in front of me here, and this was quite a pivot. So I'd been running product and engineering since the year 2000. And then in 2017, just because of, I think, where we were in our life cycle at FinancialForce, we needed to really focus a lot more on the customer experience. And I was asked to go and move from this chief product officer role that I had been doing to a new role. And I had the scope to really define that role and define my job, my role, and then hire a new team into this role. And I defined the customer experience discipline for FinancialForce at that time. And our role was to understand the journey that our customers are on and look for opportunities within FinancialForce to evolve and improve the products and the services that we deliver to our customers, so that they can maximize the value that they get out of the investment with FinancialForce. And that was 2017. I'm still doing that customer experience role today. It's expanded a little bit more broadly now. So I also run operations for the customer facing side of the business as well. And I love it. I love the role that I do. And I think that I'm kind of where I need to be in my career right now. So I think that kind of brings you up to date in terms of my career history and what I've done over the years to get to where I am today.
Oh, that's great. And in terms of that path, I mean, it sounds as if you've had some fascinating roles, and as you say, you're very happy with where you've got to. But were you aware at any stage during that journey, or that you thought maybe you should have had been given something, whether it's a job title or more acknowledgement of what you'd done? And would you say any of those issues were just what you call typical career type, or do you think the fact that you were a woman in the IT industry is fairly male dominated, do you think that counted against you at any stage, or do you think you've always been treated reasonably as you've worked your way up the organization?
Yeah, good question. I think that sort of just in terms of the role, the job title and the acknowledgement of what I've done, I do feel very lucky that my career has progressed really well. I'm a senior vice president today, and I'm a co-founder of the company. I have a lot of acknowledgement internally in terms of what I've accomplished, and also externally with our customers and with the industry experts that I work with. And whilst it is a male-dominated industry, you're absolutely right. I don't feel like gender has held me back, and I think that the reason why I feel like I'm quite lucky here is because I've been mentored over the years. So way back when I joined Science Systems, right at the beginning of my career, I've been working closely with Jeremy Roche. He's been my mentor ever since I joined the company, and has helped me navigate, some challenging parts of my career. But that mentorship over the years and the support that I've had has really been impactful for me, and I think has guided me in a way that gender hasn't held me back in my ability to succeed in the roles that I've done, over the years.
And have you, during the time you've been in those organizations and, through the acquisitions and stuff, have you noticed, I mean, as you say, you haven't necessarily been impacted directly, but have you noticed that the companies you work for, their attitudes have sort of changed when it comes to equality and diversity? And if it has, is that been in what I call a sort of soft way, or have there been some big moments when someone's made an announcement that from now on we're gonna, this is what we're gonna do, or we're gonna stop doing that? Just your observations as to what you've seen in your workplace over the years.
Yeah, I do think attitudes have changed in the workplace, just from my observations and actually personal experiences. And I was thinking about this. One of the challenges has been, so over the years, I've had 3 children, and they're quite spread out in terms of their age. So the first one was born in 2004, the second guy was born in 2009, and then the third child was born in 2016. And what sort of I've noticed, kind of 2004, I was quite young, I was very career driven, and I really wanted to get back to work. I felt like I had to get back to work to continue the career progression that I was on, and I went back after about 12 weeks of maternity leave. And then the second child was born in 2009, and that was the same year we'd just gone through the sale of Coda to Unit 4, so we were going through a transition of that transaction. So that's there's a lot to do, and it's a challenging time. But at the same time, we're also brokering this deal with Unit 4 and Salesforce to spin out FinancialForce, which was something I was very excited about, very passionate about this opportunity, keen to be on point to help bring people into the founding team, inspire people to come and join us on our journey, articulate the vision to colleagues and people that could help us get FinancialForce off the ground. So I came back to work in 2009 after about 11 weeks of maternity leave. But then in 2016, the times had changed a little bit, and maybe it's because I'd gotten to a point in my career where I was feeling really good about myself, a lot more confident. I was older. I was the chief product officer at the time, and I probably had the longest maternity leave of my career in 2016. And I didn't feel this rush to have to get back to work for any particular reason, and that I could just kind of enjoy that time with my baby. And I think that personal experience and that journey that I've been on, I think that's kind of representative of how times have moved on in the IT industry. I do think that the IT industry, although it's not perfect, it is more forward thinking in terms of gender diversity than some of the other industries that friends and colleagues work in. And I feel that feels like a very fair environment, that we try very hard, not just FinancialForce, but other software companies. And I look at Salesforce and how diverse they are. We have our own, you talked about, big announcements or things that we've done that have been really pivotal. We have a diversity and inclusion policy. We have a leader for the diversity and inclusion at FinancialForce. And it's something that we pay attention to, we measure ourselves on. the balance of genders within the organization, not just employees, but at a management level. And that's been very important for us, making that decision to have somebody focused on diversity and inclusion, and have that as part of our mantra, to make sure that we're always thinking about the level of diversity that we need in an organization. And certainly from as an employer, when we hire people who are the best people for that job. Doesn't matter about their gender or their background or where they've come from. So we pay, particular attention to that as well, from a hiring point of view, as well as internally in terms of how we measure ourselves.
And just in terms of the maternity, I mean, I'm not trying to, you're very happy, I know, so I'm not trying to cause trouble, but did you feel in those first two under any pressure? You said yourself that obviously it was exciting times and, busy, so you wanted to get back, but was there any sort of subtle pressure from the organization, even that, they made sort of, it'd be great to have you back as soon as you can, you felt it slightly, I need to get back to make sure I'm there to join, or were it was very much your decision that because you knew how important it was for you thought, no, it's time to get back? And just any thoughts on
that? I do feel like, this won't be everybody's experience, but personally, it was very much my decision and drive to come back. There was no pressure, subtle or in any way. We had good cover for both of my maternity leaves in 2004 and 2009, so there was no particular pressure to get back. It was just my personal desire, I think, and that's probably just kind of the person that I am. I'm very, very determined, kind of headstrong, very motivated, and don't like to miss out on anything, and want to be involved and engaged, and that's kind of what's driven me over the years. And so I think that was just very kind of came from within. And like I say, because I was working closely with my mentor at the time, and Jeremy Roche, who co-founded FinancialForce, was the CEO of FinancialForce, and and my boss didn't put me under any particular pressure to come back from those maternity leaves.
And again, if this is too personal, please say, but in terms of the gaps between your children, was that again a sort of vaguely work related, that you thought, it's good to get back and give it a decent, I mean, some people, I think we had 3 years between each of ours for fairly random reasons, but just, did you think it was important to get back and do a decent stint back at the office and then have number two, or was it rather more random than that? Just if you're able to.
I think between the first two, definitely. It was partly by design. I wanted to have a good separation between each child to give me a chance to get back in to my role, continue to pursue my career, make some advancements before I went off to have a second child. And then the third one, that was kind of, it wasn't really planned. I wasn't really planned. I never had on my radar to have 3 children. It was always just going to have 2. But circumstances and life changes what you originally set out as your plan. So I ended up having 3, but the big gap there was nothing really to do with work, was just sort of life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's cool. And in terms of sort of where we're at now and where we maybe need to be, do you think, as I say, your organization, it sounds as if they're well ahead, or at least on top of these issues around diversity, equality? Do you think, not necessarily as I say for your company, but just more generally, there's more work that needs to be done? Because I think the percentages have increased, but there's still a significant imbalance between males and females within the IT sector, and clearly there are other sectors as well. But just any thoughts as to what more might need to be done?
I do think that there is more that we can do, and I think it starts out at school, and when people, men and women, are making their decisions as to what they want to study at university, and choosing that technology direction is something that we need to be encouraging people to do, and women particularly, to take that path. when they start to think about university, the courses that they could do, and then the careers that they could go into. And that would then mean that the pool of women that we're recruiting from when we're looking for people to come into roles is broader, is wider, and that would give us the opportunity to bring more women in at the to the roles and vacancies that we have open. So I think that's one thing. And I also think that you don't have to be a computer programmer to go into the IT industry. So making it more relevant to people in terms of the types of career, like raising awareness, the types of career that you can have in the industry, in the IT industry. You could be in support and working with customers. You could be in customer success and helping customers derive value from the solutions. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be a technology person per se. You could have different skills that we can leverage in the IT industry. And I think raising awareness about that to bring more diverse people into the industry is something that we could do to improve the number of women in the sector.
And in terms of yourself, you've obviously had a very long, successful career. Do you feel sort of either obliged, or I suspect you just enjoy the fact, are you able to help people as they start, women as they join your organisation? So is that something you sort of actively look out and think, oh, okay, well, I know how tough it was when I started, or not, or whatever, but you're at least aware and you're there to help out as and when?
Yes, I do. I think that back to the story I was telling you about mentorship and how important and impactful it's been for me having a mentor. I now do seek out the opportunity to mentor other people, and particularly women at the beginning of their careers. I do mentor men and women, but I mentor multiple women who are earlier on in their career, helping them with their own sort of confidence in themselves to go and seek out new opportunities, to take advantage of the opportunities that are laid out in front of them, to progress their career in the direction that they want to take it. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And I've had some really rewarding conversations. And one of the ladies that I'm mentoring out in Spain on the last mentorship call that we had, and she just said, we've been working together now for about a year, and she was saying how impactful it had been to work with me in this relationship, and it had really helped her look at the opportunities that she wanted to go after, and given her the confidence to actually go after those opportunities in a way that she wouldn't have done had we not had the relationship that we'd had. And it was one of those like heartwarming moments and really meaningful for me, that I feel like I'm actually helping somebody else. I'm using the things that I've learned over the years and sharing that with other people and helping them develop their career in the direction that they want to go in. So I am, I enjoy it. And I'm very passionate about it.
And is that mentorship, is that within your organisation? Is something they've set up, or is it external? So that's something they've set up and you joined it and therefore got involved.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got an executive mentorship program that we've developed in the last year or so to leverage the executives and leaders within FinancialForce to help mentor some of the younger folks and some of the top talent in the company, to help us develop that talent, but also retain that talent. It's competitive out there in the war for talent, and we want to make sure that we do everything that we can to develop people and retain people here at FinancialForce, so that they feel like they can develop their career here with us, and that there are opportunities for them that they can take advantage of. So I do mentor people here internally through this program that we've set up, but also I do also mentor people outside of FinancialForce that I've just met along my career, and continue to support those people as well.
And maybe just as we finish up, you've already alluded to sort of the education and sort of getting women and girls involved earlier on, but if there were one thing that you could change or do differently in the IT industry, whether it's stopping a particular practice or doing something different, ever thought, what would be a good significant change to help? And whether it's the diversity thing or just more generally, is there any bugbears in the IT industry that you think we got to stop doing that, or why can't we do this instead?
Yeah, I think like my bugbear, and one of the things that I would like to see change in our industry is to have more women in the boardroom, to have more female CEOs and chairmen, and so something that personally in terms of my career development, I'd love to be on a board as a non-exec director. And when I look at the boardroom and I sit on the board as I have at FinancialForce and prior companies before that, back to being male dominated, it's very, very male dominated in the boardroom, and I would love to see more diversity at that level within technology, enterprise technology companies in the IT industry.
And just imagine, is that a numbers game, in the sense that if you start in anything with a wide, big enough pyramid, if you like, base of the pyramid, and then on the way up you get more and more, or do you think there is still a bit of discrimination, so that even though, say, women are, I think it's 26 to 30% of the IT workforce, there's significant, there's less than 26 to 30% on boards? Do you think it's and hopefully not a conscious decision but still an unconscious sort of male bias when it comes to appointing board members?
Yeah, I do think it's probably, I don't know whether it's a specific bias, but I think there's probably, like you say, that it's the pyramid. So we might have 26 to 30% of women in at the bottom of the pyramid, and then as you go up into management positions, and then the further up the organization you go, you tend to find that they're more mature people on the board with more experience, and so we just don't have enough of the potentially enough women developed to that sort of level of executive leadership and management positions. But there's probably a little bit of bias in there because of the generation of people on the boards haven't grown up with diversity and inclusion as a philosophy, and so there could be some bias in certain organizations, I'm sure.
Okay, well, I mean, it's been great to chat to you, Dev. We covered a lot of ground, and you've shared some tremendous insights, so appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
No worries. Thanks very much for the opportunity. It was really nice to speak with you as well.
Thanks again.
Bye.